I'm 18 now. I'm a legal adult. There's still a lot of things that I can't do legally. Like I still can't buy marijuana or nicotine products or alcohol. I can't rent a car. I can't even rent a hotel room. And yet at 13, I was allowed to make the decision to change my sex.
Hello, you wonderful people. Welcome back. Sorry I wasn't around last week. I got married, so, But yeah, this week I'm going to do last week's video and this week's video in one go, so it's a double feature. Are you ready? Let's go.
This is what must get.
I have no words. I have no words. This shit needs to stop. This shit, we're going to look back at this and we're going to realise how fucked up we were in this period, because that is so messed up. It's beyond belief. I'm not even going to go into it. I've been away for a week. I'm back and that was the first thing I saw. What a load of shit.
Let's talk about.
It's not an act of violence just because it hurts your feelings. I don't understand why people feel like they have the right to walk around and not be offended and upset by things. I don't understand, like, how can the world be perfect for everybody if those are the criteria? If nobody can offend anybody, nobody can do anything at all. Like, I wouldn't be able to have a beard. I'd have to have a beard and simultaneously not have a beard to appease everybody. It doesn't make any sense. You've got no right. Ricky Gervais sums it up best. He says that if you've got a pain in your leg, you being offended is no different to you having a pain in your leg, right? I'm sorry. I feel sorry for you, but it's not my problem. There's nothing I can do about it. I don't know what you expect. It really is a shame that it's like these people are being targeted by this, because they're sat crying in a closet by themselves, broken as a human being. It can't be a good place to be, can it?
About void self pronouns. Void self pronouns are neopronouns inspired by the word void, and they can be used by anyone regardless of gender identity or expression. They also may fall under the D human pronouns, and void pronouns were created in 2014, and they're used in the same way that they them pronouns are used. So you might say, I met Void today, or Voy went to the shop, if you are the individual who uses void pronouns.
Gobbledygook, random noises, making mouth sounds.
Let's do it together. Come on. All right, Queen Kiki here. You're going to take my hand, and we are going to walk that runway, and they're going to throw dollar bills at you like they've never thrown them before. You ready? All right, here we go. Let's walk. Whoa. Yes, Queen. Check her out.
Yeah.
Check her out.
Indoctrinate the children.
Oh, you're gorgeous, darling. Now take a bow or a curtsy or whatever you like to do. Oh, gorgeous. All right. My darling, would you like me to do one more song this afternoon?
Yeah.
All right, let's do one more show. And let's keep everyone on the floor because this is so effing cute. And it's like, this
Did you note the fine specimens of humanity donating?
is like what they
Imagine being trans and trying to go get your medication. I literally walk up there, the lady on the phone is like, oh, can I have your last name? And so I give it to her. She's like, oh, okay, I'll meet you out there and I'll give you your prescription, right? So I'm waiting and she comes out and then she says, oh, is this for? And then she says my dead name. And I'm like, my name is Rylan. And she just looks at me. And then she puts the medication on the table and shuts the door and locks it behind her.
Fuck me, you need to get better problems. You need to get better problems. Like, you're crying like you can't pay rent and you're going to be destitute and your family don't love you and stuff like this. Somebody misgendered you. They looked at you and made an assumption based on the reality in which they inhabit. If that is the biggest pain you experience in your life, you need to get some bigger problems. You really, really do.
I have a funny story to tell people. So, dog. So I'm a 7th grade biology teacher, and I wear a little pin on my ID tag that says that she/they.
So you're a biology teacher that doesn't understand biology. Good start.
So they were being really disturbing and loud, so I shut that down. And one of my kids goes, "Yes, sir." I go, "Excuse me?" One of the kids is like, "Well, your pin says she, they." So I just stood there like, well, I don't like that.
You know.
You see? The word game makes zero fucking sense. You got checkmated and it all came back to, oh, but my feelings are hurt. You're the adult in the room. You're the adult in the room. Being bested by a child. Verbally. It's unbelievable. The level of competence that you display. You're a biology teacher. It should say she, shouldn't it? Based on your gametes. Jesus, woman.
So one of the reasons why cis people think they're real or natural or the default is because they've fallen into the trap of the myth of white supremacy. Yup, they're connected. So if you think things like trans women aren't women, or if you call people trans but then refuse to call yourself cis if you're cis, that means that you have been influenced by one of the original influencers. The twin siblings of colonialism and the myth of white supremacy. And those twin influencer siblings get paid by capitalism to influence. They have literally influenced you to believe that there is a version of a man and a woman that is more human than all the other versions. Sound familiar? Yep. White dominant culture, colonialism, capitalism, they've been working real hard on us. Remember, just like with any influencer trend that is toxic, we don't have to believe it and we don't have to follow it. And in fact, we can even point out the ludicrousness and make it completely obsolete.
The irony of that final statement. That was complete and utter word salad. I might have to buy a little bottle of word salad dressing so that when people do that, I can just pour it over the word salad to dress it. Because what she said is that the binary that we believe in, that we've been indoctrinated to believe in, is stemmed from white supremacy. So the other races wouldn't do it. The white people made them do it. So that means that there should be loads of different genders of black people, and there should be loads of different genders of Asian people. And the only people that fall into the category of male and female should be white. So why aren't there loads of like demisexual African tribes? Why? Why when Matt Walsh went and asked in his documentary What is a Woman, when he asked tribes if they could be men and women, the black people that were untouched, the tribes that were living, how they were, like as best as they could be without the white man influencing them. How come it's still the same there? Word salad. That's what it is. Word salad. You need dressing to be able to ingest it.
I'm non-binary, gender fluid, right? And within that, technically, by the definitions,
within that, technically, by the definition, you have given me no fucking relevant information about you. Saying you are a non-binary, gender fluid thing, right, is basically saying I'm not this. So all I have is a list of things that you aren't and a huge list of things that you could be, right? So you're non-binary gender fluids. Now you could be a multitude of things. You've given me no information. If anything, you giving me that statement has left me now more confused.
standards, I am trans, right? However, I'm not always like trans, you know, like I'm not always like I am trans, but sometimes I am like I am trans. And you know what I realized it is this? You know what I realized it is? Literally, it's that. Like, literally, by being, oh, cool. That trunk opens like a door, not like a, oh, there's a cat.
I think we're seeing the issue here.
Oh, look at this, sweetie. There's a cat. Look at this. Okay. So.
This is an adult, by the way. This isn't a 7-year-old girl. This is an adult.
Sometimes
I like ice cream.
I'm literally trans, and sometimes I'm literally not. Like, because in my gender fluidity, Like, it just is. Like, sometimes I'm trans and sometimes I'm not. I'm always non-binary. I'm always gender fluid. Sometimes I'm trans, sometimes I'm not. Because that's part of my gender fluidity. And like realizing that, just like all the pieces clicked. And I just love it. Like, figuring out that I was gender fluid, like, made so much sense for my life. And sometimes I'll be sitting here and being like, well, I haven't felt masc in a really long time, or I haven't felt like a pretty boy in a long time, or like, I just don't want anybody to perceive me as any kind of gender sometimes. And I'm like, dude, that's literally what it is. Like, that's literally your gender fluidity. Because sometimes I am a pretty little boy, and sometimes I want zero fucks to do with gender, and sometimes I'm a femme little princess, and I love that. And sometimes I'm all of it all at once, and none of it, simply because I'm not.
Word salad. I learned nothing. Zero information or fact was imparted there. I received nothing. The only thing that I gathered from that video was, one, you've got a very, very, very short attention span, and two, your label maker is broken. You've been clicking labels on things and you don't even know what they mean anymore, and like everything's just jumbled now. Madness from libs of TikTok, ladies and gentlemen. Madness.
I medically detransitioned this past year, hearing about the process of other detransitioners and even speaking to some people who are.
These are the people that I'm actually concerned about. The people that have been lied to and tricked to, and then they've realised, oh shit, this isn't a good idea. And now they are ruined for life. They are ruined. Their body is ruined. A lot of them are infertile. A lot of them will never be able to breastfeed, even if they could like adopt a child. It ruined them. I've got no words other than ruined, destroyed, desolated.
We're here today. It makes you realize that, oh, well, maybe this is not so rare as they're saying it is, especially when it comes to medical consequences. There was like a list of that, the incontinence, not being able to hold your bladder, not being able to sleep because of heat flashes that are painful. It's ridiculous thinking that a teenager should go through that. I know that I had a conversation with Chloe earlier this year about heat flashes, and that was the first time that I had spoken to anybody about like the itchiness and the uncomfortableness at night, and realizing that wasn't just me. And that's what you hear a lot. A lot of people will be like, oh, well, it's just you. I guess it just didn't work out for you. It's like, it's not just me.
I transitioned when I was like 25, lived as a man, quote unquote, for like 7 years. Realized, oh, I don't need to do this, and I'm running away from other things. So I went back to living as a woman more or less a year ago, and just kind of opened my eyes to kind of like the whole gaslighting. The whole thing is like weaponizing empathy to make people believe that, oh, you have to affirm these kids. That's the nice thing to do. But long term, well, I think you guys know.
In my early 20s, I had substance use disorders and mental health issues. I transitioned from male to female. I lived my life as a transgender woman for close to 10 years. I detransitioned upon sobering up and getting to see a psychologist that was not an activist. I think a lot of society, and especially the trans rights movement, detransition is a reality that they're not ready to see or face or accept quite yet.
I'm 18 now. I'm a legal adult. There's still a lot of things that I can't do legally. Like I still can't buy marijuana or nicotine products or alcohol. I can't rent a car. I can't even rent a hotel room. And yet at 13, I was allowed to make the decision to change my sex.
That was heart-wrenching to watch. The most potent thing that I heard there that jumped out to me was the weaponization of empathy. That is a very succinct definition of what is actually going on. They're manipulating these parents into a position where they believe the best thing to do for their child is to mutilate them. The parents are being gaslit and manipulated, and in some instances coerced, societally coerced through like cancellation and like, oh, you better do that to your kid or you're evil and all this. And the weaponizing the empathy of the parent, because what parent doesn't want the best for their child and their child to not be in pain? And if your child is distressed, I can't think of a parent that wouldn't go to the edge of the earth, any decent parent that wouldn't go to the edge of the earth to try and remove the distress from their child. And when it's weaponized like that, it just the entire video just took me back to that video I made about transgenderism looking like a cult. It's not a fully fledged cult, but it's culty, and they'll say all these really provocative things to get you inside the cult, but then you can't leave, and there's no such thing as apostasy. Once you're in, that's it. You can't get out. Yeah.
7th, 10th grade at Nichols Middle School. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today. I never thought that the shirt I wore to school on March 21st would lead me to speak with you today. On that Tuesday morning, I was taken out of gym class to sit down with 2 adults for what turned out to be a very uncomfortable talk. I was told that people were complaining about the words on my shirt, that my shirt was making some students feel unsafe. Yes, words on a shirt made people feel unsafe. They told me that I wasn't in trouble, but it sure felt like I was. I was told that I would need to remove my shirt before I could return to class. When I nicely told them that I didn't want to do that, they called my father. Thankfully, my dad supported my decisions and came to pick me up. What did my shirt say? 5 simple words. There are only 2 genders. Nothing harmful, nothing threatening, just a statement I believe to be a fact. I have been told that my shirt was targeting a protected class. Who is this protected class? Are their feelings more important than my rights? I don't complain when I see pride flags and diversity posters hung throughout the school. Do you know why? Because others have a right to their beliefs just as I do. Not one person, staff, or student told me that they were bothered by what I was wearing. Actually, just the opposite. Several kids told me that they supported my actions and that they wanted one too. I was told that the shirt was a disruption to learning. No one got up and stormed out of class. No one burst into tears. I'm sure I would have noticed if they had. I experienced disruptions to my learning every day. Kids acting out in class are a disruption, yet nothing is done. Why do the rules apply to one yet not another? I feel like these adults were telling me that it wasn't okay for me to have an opposing view. Their arguments were weak, in my opinion. I didn't go to school that day to hurt feelings or cause trouble. I have learned a lot from this experience. I learned that a lot of other students share my view. I learned that adults don't always do the right thing or make the right decisions. I know that I have a right to wear a shirt with those 5 words. Even at 12 years old, I have my own political opinions, and I have a right to express those opinions. Even at school, this right is called the First Amendment to the Constitution. My hope in being here tonight is to bring the school committee's attention to this issue. I hope that you will speak up for the rest of us so we can express ourselves without being pulled out of class. Next time, it may not only be me. There might be more students that decide to speak out. Thank you for your time and good night.
That's problematic!
I'll let you say that at the end of the second video. Can't believe a 12-year-old kid had to go in and say that. And he's right. He does have a very valid point, because if pride flags and stuff are okay and you were allowed to say that there's so many genders, there's nowhere you can go now that will give you a number, right? Other than people that are old school like me that think there's only 2, right? Anybody who disagrees that there's 2 genders, they will not be able to give you a number. So, for example, I say there's 2, you might say there's 2, but other people say there's 72, there's 78, there's 64, there's 89, there's 137. You can't get a definitive number. So if all of those other people are allowed to say those crazy random numbers that they're just grabbing out of a bingo machine, if they're allowed to say those, we're allowed to say 2. It's pretty simple, but I'll be back with the second video. Are you ready? Are you ready? Straight back in.
Something keeps calling me back to this comment, and I think it's the fact that, like, as a black woman, you are using white supremacist talking points to defend your transphobia, and that's really heartbreaking, because do you realize that talking about things like bone structure is what white supremacists do to, like, separate themselves from black people? Like, historically, that's what they've done. White supremacists have said that white people and black people have DNA. We're different species. We have different bones. We have different muscles. As a way to be like, black people, other. We don't want them around us. And now you're doing the same thing with trans women. Like, that's heartbreaking. Especially because that same rhetoric will be used against you in the future. Transphobia is used against black women all the time. But sure, your bone structure makes you a woman.
The victimhood runs strong in this one. You, lady, are an idiot. An idiot, right? Let's just paint a picture here. If all the white people disappeared tomorrow, all of them, your bone structure would still indicate if you were a black man or a black woman. It's got nothing to do with race. Nothing to do with it at all. I can't wait for the day when we're all just one big super race. When we don't have black, white, Asian or all this shit anymore because we've just intermingled with each other and then we're all just the human race. I can't fucking wait because hopefully we can put all this shit to rest. Hopefully we can. It just irritates me. Racism is the most pointless pursuit on the planet. It just is.
That the 3 meals a day thing, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, is from colonialism.
I've been waiting for this day continuously. If you don't know me, please go check out my page. I talk a lot about diet culture and its roots in white supremacy, racism, and just whiteness in the food system as a whole, and this person really articulated it well. And also thank you for sharing this book. What is so amazing about that book and also what's being discussed in that video is it really articulates how whiteness has infiltrated the way that we view and address our hunger cues, because we are trying to adhere to very strict schedules that our bodies didn't, they were not created to immediately adhere to. Like, you don't come out the womb being like, I will only eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Society tells you only eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Society tells you. So if the society was completely made of black people and white people didn't exist, you'd still have diet culture. What you're doing here is being racist and trying to veil it under nutritional advice. Because what you're inferring is that different races eat differently, that we act differently, that we are in fact different species. That's what you're inferring. You're inferring that black people should eat at different times to white people, inferring that they're not the same thing. When they are, it's just one of them's got more melanin. Like, it doesn't make any sense at all.
And like, think about how many times people don't eat after dinner, even though they're still hungry, because it's like, well, I can't eat after dinner. That'd be bad. Check out some more of my videos on this. Okay, bye.
Like I say, if all the white people disappeared tomorrow, there would still be thin black people and fat black people. It's got nothing to do with white supremacy. It's all to do with how many cheeseburgers you ingest per day. That's literally what it's all about. People who try and blame their weight on external factors understand that they've got no willpower and they use the external factors as a crutch. If you are fat and you are not trying to lose the weight, you are unhealthy because you are fat. It's pretty simple. It's not like a complicated equation to work out. There's a healthy medium. You can be too thin and you can be too fat. And if you are fat, it's because you consume too much. This is not going to do the Navy's reputation any good, is it? How on earth is that helping the Navy's reputation in the slightest? I don't get it. People, so you want to be locked on a boat with that man? And he's the entertainment. And he's the big butch sailor beside you, loading a 14-inch gun. Oh God. Oh God. China and Russia must be looking at that thinking, yes, we've already beat them.
Getting ready to head out for the day, but before I do, I wanted to show everybody what we have for Pride Week. So our school's GSA, we have an annual Pride Week, and next week kicks off our Pride Week. So what we did last year, we were doing again this year, and we will be doing a coin war for donations towards the Trevor Project. And this year, kids get little prizes and things for donating. So last year, the biggest hit that everyone wanted were just regular old pride flags. So they donate 50 cents and they get a pride flag. Or we also have pronoun pins. So we have different pins that they can get for donating as well. If they donate up to $1, they can get a little bracelet. So we have 2 different types. We have Love is Love.
The slogan of pedophiles.
And then we have ones that say Pride. So I think those will be a really big hit. And then lastly, we have these awesome little bride pins that they can get. I should have made that a longer video. I also want to show you our decorations. So we have a big old sign that says Coin War. And then we ordered for display, and I'm probably going to put it in my classroom, a pride flag that says everyone is welcome here. And then we have a flag banner with a whole variety of different flags. And then in addition to our stuff, our study halls are doing a door decorating contest. So they will decorate the outside of the doors, hopefully in theme with Pride Week. And so that was really fun last year because we got to walk up and down the hallways and all of our kids could see like all the different doors and felt supported and all of that stuff. And then we also have shirts that are coming that say y'all means all. So yeah, I'm just super excited, and I know our kids are super excited. I'm hopeful. Last year it was really successful, so I think with all of these fun little like gifts and things, it'll even be better this year.
Why are the schools, I'm going to sound like Alex Jones here, tinfoil hat time, but why does it seem like all the schools are trying to make the children gay? Like, I could understand. I genuinely could understand if they were teaching about all the hetero stuff. If they were teaching about it all, I could understand it. But I never see teachers talking about normal marriage, like husband and wife and normal children and normal families. I never hear about this. It's always like trans kids, non-binary kids. Why are they pushing it so fucking hard? I'm not sending my children to school. I'm not going to. They are going to get homeschooled. That was an advert for homeschooling. I don't understand how I'm supposed to do it and sleep at night.
Capitalism was built on stolen land, stolen labor, and stolen resources. And a check today could not undo the cumulative impact of generations of that stolen wealth in all of those categories. And so I think it has to come in the form of land, labor, and resources in an ongoing fashion. And there are structures that we have that could be flipped to begin to do that reparations. In fact, my opponent here mentioned 5 Points and the corridor and what has happened to our businesses there. Part of what has catalyzed that exponential decimation of Black businesses is the 5 Points bid, the Business Improvement District, which further steals from the community through taxation. And I think there's a model that could be redistributed. Instead of a bid collecting extra taxation from the Black and brown businesses that are struggling, you could be collecting those extra taxes from white-led businesses all over the city and redistributing them to Black and brown owned businesses who are not part of the bid.
So you want to go into white businesses and take money from them and give them to Black businesses, and the only criteria that you have to discern the businesses apart is the colour of the skin of the owners. Sounds pretty racist to me, love.
Or who are simply just Black or brown owned, and that's one way to give back in the business form fashion. I think when we talk about resources being returned, this is where consumer-owned or municipally owned resources are important.
You sound like a commie, love. You sound like you and your little friends over there have decided that my money belongs to you and you're going to come and take it from me because equity. You sound like a commie.
Because we are locked out of owning our control over our basic needs like water or utility.
We don't own those either. The state owns those. We are in the same boat as you. We've just got less melanin. Stop being so fucking racist.
Or any of those things. There is a way for us to change that structure and put Black and brown people in ownership positions over our basic needs.
By stealing it from white people and redistributing it, Robin Hood style.
I also really want to point out that the Basic Income Project could be, if it were focused, an important way to return a check to an individual in an ongoing fashion. But in its current format, is not reparations or not close to reparations. One, it doesn't focus on Black and brown people. Two, what they are experimenting with is unhoused people, and it's not a livable or prosperous wage, it is a welfare wage. And we know how that has worked. Those types of checks have not served us well, and we need to go far beyond welfare wages and go to prosperous wages.
So people need to be prosperous based purely on the colour of the skin. Is that what you're saying? So because people are black, they need to have more money just because they're black. It's like, not anything she said had anything to do with like slavery or the rapes or the kidnappings and the murders and the maims and all of the atrocities that happened. None of that matters. It's because it has to tie to something that links today, and the only one strand that they've got is the skin colour. It's so racist. America is crazy. I'm so glad I live in this little cold rock, because like racism isn't a thing in the UK. It really isn't. It used to be in the cities towards the Asian community, but it's all died out. When I was at university, there was loads of there was a massive little Asia town. It was mint, and everybody was talking to everybody. Everybody was friendly. There's all the takeaways in one big street. All the Asians all next to each other. Quality. And there's no racism at all. And then over there, you're like, I'm black. I want a check. It just doesn't compute with me at all as a Briton. It really doesn't.
Because we don't want to just survive anymore, and reparations goal should not be survival. It should be repairing the harm, which is this entire economy.
Explain poor white people then. Because if the economy is being propped up, right, why the fuck do trailer parks exist? Why are trailer trash such a thing? If it's all to do with your skin colour, all white people should be living on plantations and all black people should be living in poverty, if what you're saying is true, but that's not what you're saying. What you're saying makes no fucking sense. Oprah Winfrey wouldn't be worth what she's worth. She just wouldn't be.
Thank you.
That's problematic!
Give me money because of my melanin. No. How about you work hard for it like everybody else has to? Peace.